today is 3 shlokas together, but I may not discuss all of them today. I might do some today and some next Thursday, but they go together, so we will chant them together first. Adhyay 18, Shlok 51, 52, and 53. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto dhrityatmanam niyamya cha Shabdadin vishayans tyaktva ragadvesho vyudasya cha vivikta sevilagvashi yata vakkaya manasaha dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashritaha ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodam parigraham vimuchya nirmama shanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Let's translate. Endowed with a pure intellect and partaking of a light sattvic and regulated diet, living in a lonely and undefiled place, having rejected sound and other objects of sense, having controlled the mind, speech, and body by restraining the mind and senses through firmness of a sattvic type, taking a resolute stand on dispassion, after having completely got rid of attraction and aversion, and remaining ever devoted to the yoga of meditation, having given up egotism, violence, arrogance, lust, anger, and luxuries, devoid of the feeling of meum and tranquil of heart, such a man becomes qualified for oneness of Brahma, who is truth, consciousness, and bliss. Right. So last Thursday, we talked about the previous shloka, number 50. And in that, Bhagwan told Arjun that I am going to tell you very briefly the process with which man reaches Brahma. The word was used was briefly. So what was that brief message, like a trailer that Bhagwan gave to Arjun? He said, Nishtha Jnanasya Ya Para means the supreme consummation of knowledge results in supreme abidance in the self. That means if you want to be established in Brahma, which is the supreme goal of life, then what you need is to supremely attain knowledge. What knowledge? The knowledge of Brahma, which is called Brahma Vidya, Aparoksh Anubhuti. You attain that knowledge through direct experience, not through books, not through understanding the theory, but by actually experiencing that self within. If you get that, then you will be established in the self. So the question then arises, how will I attain supreme consummation of knowledge? How will I get that direct experience? How will I get that knowledge through aparoksh anubhuti? So these 3 shlokas which I read today are giving the process in detail. Shloka 50 gave it briefly, just that you have to get knowledge, supreme knowledge. So now he's giving the 12 sadhanas in these 3 shlokas. Now, once these sadhanas are done, you'll not suddenly get aparoksh anubhuti. You will be qualified. You will be eligible for attaining that supreme Brahmahood. These 12 steps are not new. We are on the 18th adhyay. So the previous 16 adhyayas, not counting the first one, the previous 16 adhyayas, Bhagwan has told us all these things already. Nothing new in these 3 shlokas. But since we are on the last adhyay, the last chapter of Gita, Bhagwan is recapping all of them for us in a serial order. So today I'll not do all 12 sadhanas because it will be too much to absorb and too much to introspect on, but I will do a few of them. Now, it's important to know that as we are going through these 12 sadhanas, in Siva also they are nothing new. For the last 15 plus years, we have been doing sadhanas. They may not be worded in the same way, but the same sadhanas that we have been doing or that I have been recommending that you do would have led to you being eligible for attaining oneness with Brahma. So as we will go through the 12 sadhanas, you will also be able to recall the same sadhanas that we have been doing or we are supposed to have been doing for the last 15 to 20 years. Okay. So let's go straight away into the sadhanas. The first sadhana or the first step you can say is buddhya vishuddhaya yukto. Meaning the first sadhana would be you need to purify your intellect. So what makes the intellect impure? That is also important to know. What makes the intellect impure is the collection or the accumulation that we have done over thousands of lifetimes. We have accumulated unfulfilled desires, vasanas, imprints of all our experiences. We have been storing them in the hard disk in our antakaran. And we call all these past impressions vasana. Why vasana? Because they are taking vas in our antakaran. They are residing in our antakaran. And what happens with these vasanas? They keep conditioning the intellect. They keep urging the intellect to move towards fulfilling those vasanas. And it could also not just be things that you desire, but also things that you are averse to. All right. So there are 3 levels of purity of the intellect. The first one you can say is tikshna buddhi. So here, what happens? Tikshna means very sharp. Your buddhi is very, very sharp, but for wrong things. It's very, very sharp in everything that relates to worldly matters. You know, your buddhi is very good at judging. What are they judging? They're judging other people. They're judging your neighbor. They're judging the food. They're judging restaurants. They're judging clothes. They're judging other people's behavior, other people's words. So this is not a buddhi that we could call pure. So this buddhi is good for worldly matters. And in the Shastras, they compared this kind of a buddhi as a very gross buddhi, which is like an axe which you would use to chop down a tree. Okay, a very heavy, gross kind of equipment that you would use to chop a tree. Purer than this Tikshna buddhi would be the Sukshma buddhi. Now here the buddhi has been purified and it has been made more subtle. Sukshma means subtle. And it can understand theoretically the difference between Sat, Asat and Mithya. This buddhi is helping you progress in your sadhana, is progress in your spiritual growth. And because it is the faculty of vivek that helps you to distinguish between sat, asat, and mithya, it's a more finer equipment than an axe which is used to chop a tree. So you can say that it is like a razor with which a person would shave. So you cannot shave with an axe which you used for chopping trees. You need something more delicate, something more subtle, something more refined. So this refined buddhi is no longer used for worldly matters. It is used for distinguishing or differentiating between the things which take you closer to your spiritual goal. And yet, this is not enough. because this is just a theoretical understanding. So you need a Vishuddha Buddhi, a extremely pure, trained intellect. And this pure, trained intellect is endowed with all the 26 Daivi gunas. You know, in Adhyay 16, Bhagwan enumerated 26 pure, godly, heavenly gunas. So this buddhi is endowed with all these gunas, and because of that, it has translated this theoretical understanding into practical use. It is implementing the knowledge that it has learned. So this beautiful buddhi will be able to take you from theory into practice. And so the Shastras would compare it perhaps to a laser surgery, a laser beam that would just, focus on the cataract in the eye without disturbing any other part of the eye. So we need to see where our buddhi is, at which stage. Is it tikshna? Is it sukshma? Or is it vishuddha buddhi? So we have to purify it to vishuddha buddhi stage. How will we be able to do this? So what is the sadhana that we have recommended in Siva for so many years? Of course, it is Shravan and Manan. Continuously hearing about this, learning about this, Shravan, listening, and then contemplating on it, Manan. That will help you. And of course, Swadhyay also. After you listen, then you mull over it, you contemplate on it, and then you study about it. Okay? So that's the first sadhana. Everybody's familiar with it. Buddhya Vishuddha Yukto means you have to purify your intellect. Second sadhana that Bhagwan is recommending in this shloka is Dhrityatmanam Niyam. Niyamya, meaning we need to develop our determination. So once the intellect is developed, you have reached Sukshma Buddhi, where you have understood theoretically. You need to now make the Buddhi Vishuddha, means you need to implement. And we all know how difficult it is to put into practice what we have learned theoretically. We start, we do the sadhana, and then somehow or the other, it kind of fizzles out, or we lose interest, or we lose momentum, and we lapse into step one again, going backwards. So what is required? Dhriti. What is required? Determination. Determination to walk the talk. Determination to implement these Daivik gunas in our life. What we need is Satvik Dhriti. Okay? Now, we all know how difficult that is also, to be determined and resolute and firm in our sankalp, in our intention. It is uncomfortable. So we will need to bear the discomfort of doing Shreya. Because doing the right thing is always a little more difficult than doing Priya, what is pleasant, what is comfortable. So we will have to bear that discomfort of doing the Shreya instead of opting easily for the Priya. We have talked about this at length also in Siva. And the sadhana that I gave you was titiksha, the ability to bear the discomfort. For example, you will say, let's say you have decided that from tomorrow you're going to work out, you're going to exercise, you're going to be firm in your fitness goals. But that's uncomfortable. So you have to bear that discomfort, and that is titiksha. The bearing of discomfort for your spiritual goal is called titiksha. All right? So purify the intellect, develop determination. Third sadhana, Shabdadin Vishayan Styaktva. You have to develop the ability for all our 5 Gyan Indriyas, sense organs, to reject all objects, Vishais, which are purely for pleasure, or there may be objects which are not needed. It's in excess for the maintenance of our body. So normally what happens, our five indriyas, you know them, of course, sense organs, they are our gateways, you can say. They are our gateways through which all the objects of sansar enter our mind. And you know what happens when all the vishayas enter our mind? They distract us. They urge us to follow them outside into sansar, and they distract us from our goal. This mind, it just receives through the indriyas all these stimuli. Then it prods and pushes and urges the intellect to act on them. So, and all this is happening in nanoseconds. We don't even realize eyes have taken in something, gone to the mind, gone to the intellect, gone to the organs of action, and we are already reaching out to the object, which is purely an object of pleasure, or it is an object that is in excess for the maintenance of the body. So there's a training which needs to be given to the organs of perception to reject those vishayas, to reject those objects. So, for example, I told you, you have made a resolution for becoming fit, for doing exercise, and also for your diet. And here there is a chocolate cake being offered to you. Your eyes have gone straight away. It is simply for pleasure, and it is in excess for maintaining the body. Therefore, you should be able to train your sense organs to reject that vishay. Shama, Dhamma. These are the sadhanas that will help us to reject it, because it is no longer conducive to take me to my spiritual goal. Of course, witnessing is also there, that we see it, we witness it, and then we just do not act on it. So that takes us to the fourth sadhana. What is the fourth sadhana? Very important. Raga dvesho vyudasya. Completely eliminate attraction and aversion. Rag and dvesh. Rag is attraction. It is an uncontrollable urge, an uncontrollable pull towards an object. Why? Because there's a residual vasana for that object which we are carrying in our antakaran. And the power and the energy of that vasana is so strong that it will not let your mind rest till your organ of action will go and attain it, obtain it, acquire it. Rag. And dvesh is also an uncontrollable hatred, an uncontrollable distaste, an aversion for an object. Why would we have such an aversion? That is also a residual vasana which is there, an impression from the past. This is not good. This object did not give you pleasure last time. This object gave you pain. This object gave you discomfort. Stay away from it. It will push you away from the object. Now, if you'll see, some people say, oh, dvesh is not so bad. Rag is the one that I need to work on. No, both are equally harmful for your spiritual goal. And basically, they are both two sides of the same coin. Rag and dvesh are both the same. See, if you have dvesh for something, it is just the opposite of the rag that you have. For example, if you have a great attraction for sweet things, mithai, chocolate, anything sweet, then you will automatically have a dvesh for things which are bitter or unsweetened. Just think about it in a very practical way. If you love to drink tea, which is well sweetened, Then if someone gives you a tea without sugar, phika, then you will hate to drink that. So rag and dvesh are, mutually dependent. So eliminating one is the same as eliminating its opposite also. Now, how will I eliminate this rag and dvesh? The connection doesn't seem very logical, but when we do our dharma according to our varna and ashram, we will be doing it, and in a seva bhav, in karma yog bhav, all these past impressions slowly, gradually diminish, fade, and finally become inconsequential, no longer pushing us to or away from any object. Advantage, mind becomes still, mind becomes stable, mind becomes silent, and becomes eligible for meditation, which will then lead to aparoksh anubhuti. All right. So let's go to the fifth sadhana. Vivikta sevi. Literally meaning living in a isolated, solitary, lonely place. So I would say this sadhana is seeking silence and stillness. You can take it at two levels. One is seeking stillness and silence in a place where you reside, right? The second is seeking stillness and silence in your own body, in your own mind, in your own intellect. In the early stages of our spiritual journey, having a place which is conducive for meditation, which is quiet, where there is not too much of traffic going on, of people walking in and out, talking, doing actions, doing things, a place that is undefiled or clean, comfortable, will help us in our meditation practice. So the place is very important. And it will take care of all external disturbances. So that is important. But I'm sure you have experienced that when we have sat to meditate or to do manan or to do our studies, and we have eliminated all the outer disturbances, then inner disturbances start rising. Disturbances from our own body, pain, ache, scratchy feeling, sneezing, coughing, from our own mind, thoughts, from our own intellect, all our attachments, all this unnecessary disturbance starts arising. I'm sure you must have experienced that. So we need to detach from external disturbances also, and we need to detach ourselves, break away, quieten all our disturbances from the body, from the mind, from the intellect, right? What is that one sadhana that is going to help me to maintain silence and stillness? Here again, it's a beautiful thing. When you are trying to detach from something, it is contrary to the nature of the mind. The mind always needs to be attached. Therefore, you need to attach the mind somewhere before you can detach it from anything else. And the only thing that it is worth attaching to is Bhagwan. So, bhakti. First, maybe sakar bhakti. Slowly, 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 it will lead you to nirakar bhakti. So that is the way to silence the mind. That is the way to still the mind. So in Siva, we have done detach, attach, right? So before you detach, remember to attach. Otherwise, detaching without attaching, you will fall into tamas, you will fall into deep sleep. So that is our fifth sadhana. If you are ready to listen to one more sadhana, I will do one more sadhana today, and Bakika I will do next Thursday. Are you ready? Sixth sadhana. Lagvashi. Lagvashi, maintain a diet that is light, that is regular, and that is sattvic. Now here also, we can interpret this in two different ways, two levels. First is, of course, the food that we eat. Eating correct food, cooked correctly, is very conducive and very necessary for having a meditative state of mind. Because the food we eat is processed in three different ways. The gross part of our food is what we eliminate. Then there is a subtle part of the food. That subtle part of the food is used for making up our body, our tissues, our organs, our bones, etc. And then there is an even subtlest part of the food. And that part of the food is converted into our thoughts. And thoughts is what we need to use in the correct way in order to attain Brahmahood. So eating the correct food is very important. Eating too much food will obviously make you tamasic, lethargic, lazy, sleepy. Too much is not good. Not too little also, just right. Eating too much of rajasic food like chili, garlic, and onion, these raise our rajas. So it creates, gives rise to anger, it gives rise to anxiety, confusion in the mind. Okay, so rajasic foods not conducive for meditation. Tamasic foods, which are basically flesh, they will create mental lethargy. They will make you dull. They will make you ignorant, keep you in ignorance, or they may take you to the other extreme and make you highly violent. So choosing sattvic foods and cooking them also sattvically will help you to reach your spiritual goal. So this is about food, which we take in as an input into the body. But there are other inputs also that we give our body. And all of those, as we said last time, go through our different sense organs, organs of perception. So what are we feeding our mind? Food is going in the stomach, but we are also feeding our mind with all sorts of things which are absolutely not conducive for our spiritual growth. So what are we doing on social media? Where are we spending our time? What kind of books are we reading? What kind of entertainment are we offering ourselves? Where are we going to spend our time? What kind of objects are we using? Some perfumes, some sort of music, some sort of textures which are titillating the senses, making them run into sansar. These are also food for the sense organs. So, just as we guard our front door, we lock it so that no robbers can come in and steal our precious wealth. In the same way, we need to guard our 5 indriyas, lock them so no vishais can come and steal our spiritual wealth also. All right? Sublimate our desires. Our desires, you need to evaluate. We had done a beautiful exercise in Siva where we had evaluated each and every action that we take, each and every desire that we have, and we had categorized them as tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. That is an exercise which everyone should do if they want to reach that highest spiritual goal. So making our sense organs automatically not get attracted to tamasic and rajasic inputs, whether it is food or anything else. The sadhana is raising your joy, raising your desires to the sattvic level. All right. I'm not going to tell you any more because these 6 are already so many sadhanas that you need to do. So evaluate yourself, introspect at least for these 6 till next Thursday, and then we will continue the next 6 sadhanas next Thursday. All right. I hope that it has been helpful for you. We want Brahmahood. We want to have Aparoksh Anubhuti. For that, Shlok 50 told us we have to have perfect knowledge. To have perfect knowledge, we need to become eligible for that knowledge. To become eligible for that knowledge, we have to do this process of 6 sadhanas that I have explained today, 6 more next time. Then we will become eligible. Okay, God bless you. Let you progress further and further, shanai shanai, baby steps, but take the steps. That's important. Oh, 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 asatoma, sadgamaya, tamasoma, jyotirgamaya, mrityurma, amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Chidarpanam. Jai Gurudev.